All right, welcome back to Good Choices. Mic check. 102. That's my good choice for this video already. Looks like the mic is good. So this is going to be continuing the Automate Your Network series, kind of a treat for me. So the next video will be on page 56 about Git. All right. Yeah, and then in the last video, I'll do a little review. We got we got the TFS installed and running. So we got that through Azure DevOps. Now I did that off camera a lot. So and I'll demo what I've got. So if we go to Azure DevOps. And then we go to DevOps services here. And so this is what I did off camera. I signed in. It's good. Like, you want it to be secure, of course. So like, there's a lot of hoops you got to jump through. It's easier to sign up if you already have a GitHub account, which everyone following the channel hopefully does. In one of my videos, I did like a stop here and encourage everyone to get just a blank GitHub account, because regardless of even if you don't work in tech, like, version control of your files, be it your resume, your finances, don't put your finances up in a public repo, but like grocery lists would be a great one. Like you make up your grocery list for the week, and then you adhere to that. You create the list, you go to the store, and then the store doesn't have everything on the list, so you update with everything you bought, and then week to week you can do a diff of the kind of groceries you're getting. You can cross check that against your weight, or like your like how much exercise you do, and you can be like, I keep ordering this double chocolate stuffed crust pizza with pulled pork bacon on it, and my weight keeps going up and up. let me try it so I don't order that, and see what happens. So like that's like version control. It's like you can do these scientific experiments almost, where you can create a diff in your data about whatever it happens to be about, even if it's non-tech, like a grocery list. And as long as that data is true, you can draw conclusions from that data. But if you don't have any version control, it's going to be like, oh, I keep gaining weight and I don't know why. I ordered healthy groceries this week, or you can be like, I ordered healthy groceries and I'm eating healthy, but I don't know why. Well, okay, your grocery list for this week is all fruits and vegetables, great, but you don't have a record of what it was for the prior weeks, let alone what you actually bought. So you get into these fallacies where I'm doing everything right, I'm eating right, I'm exercising, and it's like, yeah, you're doing it, but you're not doing it consistently, and you're not doing it in greater amounts than you do the self-destructive stuff. So like, without version control and without having that history, you can get into that fallacy where it feels like you're doing everything right, but you're getting no results. When in fact, if you were to look at the history of what you're actually doing, you're doing everything right 1% of the time, and then doing wrong things 99% of the time. So, yeah, that's my rant about that. I should have my cat, what was it, 1KO. I should have that going so my cat falls asleep. But yeah, so I was talking about Azure. We can see that you get a free trial of Azure. We can already see, dollars and cents, dollars being printed out the screen, which scares me a lot as a individual learner. If this is part of a business, then maybe that's less scary, because that's just the cost of doing business. But pay as you go, that I don't want to do that just on my own, with my own personal money. I don't think that's a good use of money. unless, this is for businesses. So like, maybe it's good for businesses, but just for my own personal stuff, I want to leave my money out of it. Which there's a great video by so dumbest trend. If you type dumbest trend in tech, oh my god. This I would recommend this video to anyone. This whole channel is like decent, but basically what he says here is that there's a trend in tech, and that's what this channel is truly about. This channel is kind of like the counter. Just saying all paid products are scams. That's not something I would do on this channel. But what I would say is, everything you spend is a return on investment. So like, just be careful with your spending. Like if you just put your credit card up to a site like Azure and you just run up hundreds of dollars, it's like, take a look at like what that hundreds of dollars could have gone towards instead. Like, are you creating these like comprehensive great projects in Azure that directly translate to getting hired? Excellent. That's a great use of money. If that doesn't happen, you could have bought some books that guide you through those projects better. You could have paid for a certification exam. It's like, I don't believe that all paid products are scams, but I do believe that that information is no longer scarce in any way at all. And the only thing that's really scarce is attention. I even time I don't think is like that scarce, but attention and focus is like the most scarcest things. So like, okay, great. If you pay for something, you can allocate your time, you can allocate your attention to it, and you get a lot of value out of it. Great. That's not a scam. That's good. But then you get into the situation where you pay for something and, oh, it's not that great. It's a bad product. Well, now not only are you out the attention you could have used on something else, you're out the money as well. So it's just like, I like this situation where like you sit down, you put in a lot of effort, and you get a chance to like get a certification, you get a chance to apply your skills to a project, and then you're not already like so deep into it that you've just like there's something called a Fick Victory. So a Fick Victory is a victory that inflicts such a devastating toil on the victor that it is tantamount to defeat. So you're paying $100,000 just for learning material. It's like, and it's the best learning material in the world, and you pass the test with 100%. Well, what does it take to pass the test? A 60%? You can, if you pass the test in this way and you go broke and you're in debt, you pass the test, great, but like, what's your return on investment on that? Are you going to come out with a profit, or is that debt going to haunt you? So that's an extreme example. It's typically not the case with technology education, but that's kind of the spirit of this channel. Is like, he's saying like, there's a claim that all paid products are scams. Well, my claim is more that not that some paid products are scams, and if that is the case, now you're out the money as well as the intention. And if you can find free resources for learning, like I'm doing on this channel, reading this book that's just out there on a private Git repository that's meant to be shared in public as part of the open source community, or going for a certification with free publicly available training materials like the LPIC, that again is part of this community of like-minded individuals that don't want access to be to hinder technological development. The idea is that technological development happens by those interested in technological development, as opposed to those that have access to the resources needed for technological development. That's kind of my mindset, is like, if you want to contribute to technological development, I want you to be able to do so, and I don't want you to have to overcome challenges like access, challenges like attention. That's why I make like the supplements videos, and I'm really like clear and honest about like my own issues with that and like what I'm trying to do to overcome it. So like, I believe that all technological process is progress is progress. If we're talking about the AI arguments, and I'm getting way off topic. That's really not what this channel is about. Especially this series is really about just reading that book. But I would fall more in the kind of George Holt camp. And there's a great debate. Again, this is way off topic, but AI debate. George. Yeah. So like this I thought was like a really good debate. And then here's another one where like this side of the argument, Eliezer and Connor, is that we need to treat AI like nuclear weapons, and we need to really limit the development of it. We need to limit it to trusted entities that are in charge of it and can implement it, and we need more time to think through the ethical considerations of it and the way and the things we want it to do. We need more time for that. But all we've spent time on right now is the technical development of it, and the kind of, what do we use it for, and what can it do for us. Those kind of problems haven't been thought out enough. So they advocate for a pause on AI, where instead of just trying to have it become more and more powerful, we try to have it become more and more aligned to a role to a role that is beneficial to the flourishing and progress of humanity. And we don't just let it become so powerful that at some point it makes that decision itself. We really think through on how to make it safe and how to align it with human existence. And that's great. Like, that kind of makes sense to me, especially if you frame it like in the context of nuclear weapons. I don't think a 10-year-old child should have access to nuclear weapons. Right now, a 10-year-old child does have access to AI if you just let them use ChatGPT. Now, is that the level at which a nuclear weapon technology is impactful to the world? Perhaps not. But, 5-10 years down the line, perhaps it is. And there are safety concerns already where ChatGPT can teach you how to build nuclear weapons. It's just that it has a safety check telling you not to. But ChatGPT can also tell you to build your own ChatGPT. Or you can just learn that yourself using a different program. Or there's another program that doesn't have those same safety limitations. So I get the pause argument. I agree with the pause argument. But I kind of fall more in the George Holt's argument, where the idea is to have a centralized authority say this is what you can and can't do, creates an arm race against centralized authorities that have that power. And that arm race, it's like, if you fully distribute that arms race across the whole world, and you say nobody has a limitation to build, like not only, see, it's not about mutually assured destruction in this case. It's about mutually implemented intentions. So like, for every person that'll be like, ha ha ha, I finally have my nuclear weapon and I will kill all of humanity, there'll be a person saying, oh no, we must save humanity. So it's like you balance out these desires by more widely distributing them, and you come to this kind kind of equilibrium that decides whether humanity exists or perishes. And I think his point in that, if I'm representing his argument correctly, is that we will find that. Like, for the same reason humanity has persisted up until now, it will continue persisting. We don't have somebody in humanity who just goes around and wipes out all of humanity because they're so vile and evil. That isn't immediately countered by somebody that works to prevent that. And if we centralize all of the technology, we can get that through either the centralized owners of the AI or the AI itself. We don't have the knowledge and the tools distributed widely and enough where we can guarantee that that for every negative there will be a positive. We have the risk of creating that, and that's different from nuclear weapons, because you can't use a nuclear weapon, really in a positive way. You can use it for energy production, like as a nuclear power plant, but that doesn't directly oppose a nuclear strike. I think where I agree with the George Hotz argument is that use of AI that is distributed and not restricted directly opposes whatever intention there is in AI, and it's kind of like that in the real world. You have, for every extreme idea, one way you have an extreme idea the other way, and the middle ground is usually the thing that is the most true. Now, there is something called the Overton window where that can go wrong, but even with considering the Overton window, that window is not all the way to the end of the extreme that is the most extreme, which is a good thing. Without that counterbalance through the other side of the spectrum, even though the other side of the spectrum may be more reasonable, you would get, you wouldn't have as good of an outcome. So, like, this idea of for every measure there is a countermeasure, I think that's kind of where I stand with AI. Is I do not advocate for a pause. What I advocate for is immediate like I think ChatGPT, like the fact that it's charging $20, like I get it, like they need the money, but ChatGPT 3.3 is free out for everyone, but like I think already there you're just creating a gap in society. So I do think ChatGPT-4 needs to be free and open source and distributed to everyone, and everyone needs to be taught how to use it. That's kind of where I stand now. And then, this is just the way I think about thinking about beliefs is, yeah, you say what your belief is, but you constantly update your belief based on new information. You have your beliefs, you have your beliefs developed in kind of more of a like if you believe something that's like true, but it's just not like, for example, I believe that the healthiest diet is a certain thing, but does that belief well, I don't know what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is updating your beliefs over time in light of new evidence is how I think about beliefs. So if I were to make this a video again in a week, in a month, in a year, I might either understand George Hotz's argument more clearly and be like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I believe, or be like, oh, that's not what I believe at all, or do that with any other figure, Connor Eliezer, and be like, oh, that I misunderstood what they were saying, and that's exactly where I lie on the argument. So, like, this is a total rant apologize. I am going to leave it up because this is more of my, what we're talking about here is all related to this, because your capacity to automate or not to automate will depend directly on the tools you have. So like, a lot of businesses will be paying for, the NMS or like network automation solutions. So like, and they're doing that because they'll have an advantage when they do that. It makes sense to do that because they'll get a better solution. So like this idea of like, this idea of technological progress and what that looks like is important, because you've got to make those same decisions yourself. Do I want to pay some money for an educational product? Do I want to try doing everything for free and open source? There's benefits and there's trade-offs with that, and you kind of got to think about what your beliefs are and if they make sense and if you want to have those beliefs or not. I'm going to leave this up. I'm not going to squash the video, even though we're already at 20 minutes. We haven't read any of the book. But I just think this sort of discussion and these things to consider are important, especially when we're talking about new and emerging technology, which we are by reading this book. All right, so next section is Git. Git is natively installed on Linux hosts, however, should be the first application installed on Windows hosts if developing in VS Code on Windows. This ensures that all future tools installed will integrate. Git commands can be run from the Windows terminal or from within VS Code editor. All right, here's the Git reference guide. Some commonly used Git commands: git clone. This will clone a repository into a newly created directory. For details, we can visit here. I don't need details on that. I use git clone quite a bit. Git checkout, working branch, navigate and work in multiple branches in the same repository by checking out branches. This does not create another copy of the repository locally. It simply changes to a different branch, and Git tracks what branch the changes relate to. So we can see more information on that. The next command is git add. So stages locally changed files preparing for the next commit, and we saw that here. This is a way if you have multiple changes to if you have multiple files changed and you only want to commit the change in one of your files, that's what staging is for. You don't have to commit for all files. You can just leave the other ones in the you can bring only one of those files forward to be committed and leave the other ones behind. All right, so for details, there we go. Next one is git commit. So commit changes to the active branch. These commits have an ID that can be used to track the change and act like a checkpoint in the change history. Comparisons in TFS can be done in the GUI, showing exactly what changes were made as part of each commit. It is important, especially in a distributed environment, to commit small and focused changes often and only include specific related changes per commit. It is not recommended to accumulate many local changes and bulk commit them into the branch. Committing often allows for multiple people to collaborate on the same branch, and Git will track all the distributed changes across the working branch. This is reflected in the branch history as well as part of the pull request later in the pipeline. Okay, so more details. Let's actually just go here quick and see how this looks. Okay, so here's, just getting used to seeing the help, the docs and what they look like, I think is important. Yeah, so here we got like an overview. So, and this is the Git doc, the official Git doc. So it's -scm.com/docs. All right, so git push is the next one. Pushes locally committed changes to the remote repository. It requires authentication against TFS. This is the last step in updating the remote repository with committed updates, which pushes the commits into the remote branch. Take note that this updates the working branch and not the master branch. Use a pull request in TFS to merge the working branch into the master branch in TFS. The master branch should have a history of pull requests, while the working branch will have a history of commits. Okay, so let's get push, then get pull. Now, this is... okay. Okay, so git pull pulls down any changes from the remote repository syncing the repository with the remote branch. When working in a distributed environment on a shared branch and commits have been performed on another system, it is recommended to refresh your local repository often using git pull. Development may be performed in a Windows host using VSCode and may need to be synchronized with the Linux host running Ansible, and you could set that up to automatically happen. The problem is, like, sometimes if there's a merge conflict, like, you know, it just interrupts you what you're doing, which I find is, like, not awesome. Or, like, sometimes if you're making a change and your change, you know, it can make a automatically, without you even knowing, like, change what you're working on and make it so that the development you're doing will create a merge request. And merge requests are a nightmare in my experience. They're better when you're using this tool here. But it's still, because one of the hardest things to really gain an understanding of in Git, in my opinion, is like what is local and what is remote. So like this idea of pushing and pulling, like, are you pushing remote? Are you pushing local? Are you pulling, you know, the perspective, the vantage point of like these terms sometimes is counterintuitive in my experience. All right, so developing may be performed in a Windows host using VSCode and may need to be synchronized with the Linux host running Ansible. Changes from TFS need to be pulled locally as they are pushed from the remote host. VSCode can be configured to automatically pull TFS and notify developers that updates for their branch are available. So for details, we can visit that same page. And then for more information, there we go. So VS Code, I started using VS Code in a lot of my coding experiences before I was on like a professional coding team. I just found VS Code, like I tried to use it a few times, and it's like, you know, when it pops up and it asks you if you want to update, if you want to do this, do that, you know, I'm busy thinking, I'm busy trying to make something happen, and it's like whatever optimization or tool, you know, you want to recommend, it's like, you know, it's not about doing it faster, it's about doing it at all. So it's like, you know, it didn't help, and it hindered, because now I'd have to sit on my hands while something was updating, or I'd have my focus pop like a bubble because something would pop up out of nowhere, and like I don't know what's going to happen when I look at or click on something on my computer. It's not going to do what I intend. So like, you know, my focus is completely shattered. So like, VS Code is an extremely powerful text editor and more. Many extensions are available to enhance Ansible, YAML, Jinja2, Python, and Git readability. VS Code is the main workspace for the modern network engineer writing data models, dynamic templates, tasks, and playbooks. And, you know, this is the other thing too, is like, we're getting into that question of readability. Like, what is readable? People read Russian, people read Chinese, people read Sanskrit, you know, they're like, it's an objective. What is and isn't readable is objective. And like, if you're pounding out valuable, you know, like code that is like changing the way organizations run and like saving all kinds of money and time, it's readable no matter what it is. If it's just in a notepad, like with no color hiding or anything, you're reading it, you're working with it, it's readable code. a lot of this is if you're on a development team across person to person, yes, this stuff makes a lot more sense. But I just want to urge anyone reading this through, you know, get things working, do impactful things on the network, don't cause outages. But readability is subjective, so if you're finding, hey, this works, I'm making progress, and someone comes by and says, but you're not using this extension, you know, it's like, if you're on an automation team and it's important and it'll help the team to work together, great. But if you're just trying to get something done and you need to get it done now, just get it done, please. All right, so VSCode is the main workspace for the modern network engineer writing data models, dynamic templates, tasks, and playbooks. A lot of the actions in VSCode are, and then the other thing is, like, we have the AI now. So, like, if the code is awful and you don't find the code readability, just ask the AI to rewrite it to make it more readable. Like, seriously. A lot of the actions in VS Code and are Git commands, but can be done through GUI actions. Git is used under the covers to clone repositories locally, change to working branches, make commits, push code to the remote repository, and pull updates from the remote branch. VS Code simplifies development, eliminating the need to know these commands. All right, extensions. There are many extensions available, and they should be explored to find ones that best enhance code readability and functionality. For example, there are Excel-like extensions that view .csv files inside VS Code table style with sorting and filtering capabilities. Click the extensions icon, which looks like, well, for me it looks different. It looks like this. And install the following extensions at a bare minimum. All right, so let's do that. So we're going to see GitLens. Now, GitLens I've tried to use before, and this was one where it's like, okay, everyone says it's like I don't you know, this is the one for me where it's like it creates a lot of spatter, like blood spatter on your screen, and it's like it's just like not helping. So it's like I just, for me, it's like I just want to see the code, what I'm doing. I don't want anything to interrupt me, and I want to produce something that works and that, you know, I understand. And if nobody else understands it, then maybe, you know, if nobody else understands it and it works and I understand it, it's like, that's not a me problem, that's a you problem. You know what I'm saying? Is like, I just feel like some of this has to be taken with a grain of salt, because in the end, it's you know, not everything is, oh, here's a better one. And it has better. All right, I'll do the better one. Okay, so then the Python extension we want. Which is already installed. Then YAML support by Red Hat. Which is probably this one. Yeah. All right, so we got all the extensions. And this is the other thing too, is like, you know, it's replacing, like, I don't want it to have that behavior, so I'm gonna change that. So editor, replace, editor tab. This is called the editor. If we go to the files here, oh, maybe it's not. Maybe this is the Explorer. All right, I'll try that. All right, so let me try Explorer. Basically what I want is for it to always open a new tab. So I'm going to type tab. I know I've done this before, but I can't remember where I did that. Let me try this. Okay, so it's still doing the replacing that I want to try to get rid of. So let's ask the AI. In Visual Studio Code, and we'll do version 4. In Visual Studio Code, when I click on a new file, it replaces the tab that is already open. How can I make it so that when I open a new file in Visual Studio Code, instead of displaying the file by replacing a file that is already open, it always opens a new tab so that files that I have are never replaced?
In Visual Studio Code, VSCode, the behavior you're describing happens when files are opened in preview mode. In this mode, clicking on a new file will replace the currently open file tab unless you've made changes to it or double-click on its tab to keep it open. To ensure that new files always open in a new tab without replacing the currently open file, you can disable preview mode. Here's how to do it. Open Visual Studio Code. Go to File, Preferences, Settings, Code, Preferences, Settings on macOS. Alternatively, you can press Ctrl plus, CMD plus on macOS. In the search bar at the top, type Workbench Editor to narrow down the list of settings. Look for the setting called Workbench Editor. Enable Preview. Uncheck this option to disable the preview mode. After making this change, clicking on a new file will always open it in a new tab instead of replacing the current one. Since you're aiming to become proficient in network automation and related fields, mastering your tools is crucial. Knowing how to customize your development environment can significantly boost your efficiency, which can free up more time for you to study for your NCORE and LPIC1 exams or create mentorship content for your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so like this is what I'm saying. It's like, customize your development environment, even if that means doing things that other people don't think makes that much sense and like isn't like perfectly efficient or streamlined. It's about what you can do. It's about how you think. It's about whether things work or not, whether things are safe or not, whether things meet the deadlines or not. It's not about is your coloring like is your text theme dark, or is it hot dog stand? At the same time, if there is a clear thing that can make your life easier, like don't make things harder intentionally, but get things done. All right, so once Git and VS Code are installed on Windows, repositories can be cloned locally. VS Code has provided a GUI-based overlay to the Git commands. So Okay, so here's okay. This is probably pretty important. So this is probably the lab, um, like all the lab materials. Yeah, this is pretty important. So I guess what I could do is have a. Oh man. I guess I could have a repo inside of a repo. See, this is the other thing too. Okay, and let's ask the AI because of course. All right. So I'm working on an education project where I have a book and I have some notes and some various files in a source uh, version controlled repository on GitHub. So the next part in this learning exercise is to git clone another repo that has all of the files I need in my lab. How does it best make sense to do this in terms of what my GitHub page looks like? Does it make sense to have a repo inside a repo and git clone the repo for all of my lab project files and exercises inside the repo I already have that contains the book? Or does it make more sense to have two separate repos on my GitHub account? What if I already told people about this project and they would be unaware that I would be creating another repo and they'd be trying to follow along with my work by only looking at one repo and not realizing that another one was made?
Your GitHub organization strategy can significantly affect your project's visibility and your efficiency, especially considering your goals for career growth in network automation and other tech skills valuable for remote work. Here are some considerations. Option 1. Submodule, nested repo, pros. Centralized. All related code is in one parent repo.
Yes.
Version control. You can lock the submodule to a specific commit for consistent versioning.
Oh, okay.
One URL to share. People following your project only need to know about one GitHub repository URL.
Right.
Cons. Complexity. Git submodules can be difficult to manage and might
Yes.
confuse people unfamiliar with them.
Exactly.
Option 2. Separate repositories pros. Simplified management. Each repo can be
Yes.
managed separately without worrying about nested version control.
Yes.
Specialization. Allows for different README, wikis, and issue tracking for each project component. Easier to share. Each component can be shared independently. Cons. Multiple roles. Followers have to keep track of multiple
Yeah.
repositories. Loss of centralization. No single
Right.
snapshot of the whole project in a particular state. Recommendations for career and skill building. A submodule may impress future employers by showing you can handle complex version control systems.
Yeah.
This
yeah,
aligns well
yeah,
with your
yeah.
goal of mastering niche skills for remote work.
Okay, cool.
For your YouTube and mentorship goals. A simpler, separate repo system might be better for educational content. It's easier for people to follow along, and you can focus your tutorials and mentorship on the specific technologies, meeting your goal of providing mentorship content. For your NCORE and LPIC-1 exams. Either option works, but make sure you're not spending too much time managing repositories instead of studying. Perhaps allocate some time in your Anki study schedule to review Git commands related to whichever option you choose. Communication. If you decide to create a new repo, ensure that you communicate this well. You can update your existing
guess I
README file
could
to
do
link to the new
that.
repository, so people who are only aware of the initial repo will be redirected. Reminder. While GitHub
I mean, I think I'm going to go with a repo inside a repo because I think learning nested version control would be good. And then as far as like for YouTube and mentorship goals, is like, there's millions of, learn version control tutorials out there. But where there's not a lot of tutorials is for like edge cases and like like nested version control where like it gets complicated. Like the moment it starts getting complicated, you'll see fewer and fewer tutorials because like the people teaching the tutorials are often like barely one step ahead. So it's like they're not going to teach really complicated nested version control because they're always going with the simpler option, even when it doesn't necessarily make sense to do that. And we can see that even with John Capobianco. He has separate repos. He doesn't have nested repos, which might make sense because he wants this to be for a wider, more general audience. But this is what I mean. Like, you're not going to learn complicated edge case nested version control here. But you can learn it from my channel. So let's go ahead and do it. All right, so yep, we're in this. So let's clone a repo inside a repo. That sounds like fun. So we'll follow along. We're gonna do yep, we visited there, took a look. Now we're going to click on clone our download. So we still got some more work to do inside the actual repo. So we'll go to it by clicking up here. Now here you can see commits. It looks like he hasn't committed to this since last year. But it's important to know that sometimes I think this is kind of hard to see. So it's right here. Special thanks again to a commenter that pointed this out to me. Okay, so then let's see here. So yep. So now we click code. Now we click this here to copy it. And then we go. Yep. So and you can use different kinds. We're using HTTPS. So now we're going to add the gear. Click the gear icon. Then go to command palette. And then we're going to type in git clone. Now you can just do this on the CLI as well. Just type git space clone space. But I'm going to try to figure out how to use these tools. I think they might be useful and kind of simplify things when it comes to, like, you know, the vantage point. I think this could help you. Yes. Yeah, I think learning how to use these tools, especially now that, you know, I'm not trying to meet deadlines or whatever, like, makes sense. Okay, so yep, now we see all the repos that I have up there. We're gonna choose the automate your network repo. Okay, so now it's opening. Now I have to choose. Okay, so that's the one that I choose to take it from the repo. So now I need to choose a repo to add it, or I need to choose on my local disk where I want that repo to go. And this is the discussion I had, where I want it to go, and I decided that I want it to be a repo within a repo, even though that's nested version control, which is more difficult, but I want to show things that are more difficult. Yes, we'll add it to workspace. Wait, what? Something went wrong. Shoot. Something went very, very wrong. See, this is why, like, sometimes overcomplicating things doesn't make sense. Okay, so things are back to normal now. So if we refresh this, they're kind of back to normal. I don't know why there's a. Oh, you know what? It's because I'm. Oh, it's unable to resolve a workspace file. Yeah, so we can remove it from the workspace. There you go, and now we're good. So, you know, sometimes things aren't as complicated as, like, you need a robust tool to use them. It's like sometimes you don't need a jackhammer to just pound in a single nail. You just need a hammer, and using a jackhammer makes zero sense. So, all right, let me try that again. What we're doing is we're following along with the book here. So basically all I did is I got the wrong uh, the wrong repo. So yeah, this is the repo I want. Perfect. So what we're going to do is go back, go here, go to command palette, git clone from GitHub, and then we're going to type the repository name. There we go. So what happened is they gave us, by default, all of my repositories, but those aren't the repositories I wanted. I wanted a repository by someone else. So I had to paste it in custom, the repository I wanted to use. All right, and then I need to, it looks like I need to, so I'm going to select this as repository. Perfect. Okay. So it's kind of counterintuitive. So yeah, now I want to open it. Save your workspace configuration as a file. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Oh, wait. No, I did not want to do that. Oh, I completely messed it up. See, this is why, we're overcomplicating it. It's really not this hard. It's just these tools are making it harder than it has to be. So let's go back and do code dot. Oh, and see, even here we're overcomplicating it. So I'm gonna do. See, this is my problem with these tools. It's like you don't need a jackhammer to pound in a nail. Like it's overcomplicating it. Yeah, so it created a workspace file that like isn't in the right place. Yeah. So like this workspace file I'm gonna get rid of. Or maybe I can move it to where it actually does belong. You know what? I'm gonna try that. So let's look at the path. So we're gonna copy path. Take a look at the path. Okay, so it is kind of where I thought it needed to go. But it's not showing up. Oh, it is showing up here. So this is where I thought it would need to go. Now workspaces, again, if we're talking about overcomplicating things, workspaces are overcomplicating things. Okay, there we go. So now we're good. We actually did have the workspace in the right file. It's just we chose to. Okay, so yeah, this is good. Now we're in a workspace. And the reason you need workspaces is, you can basically pretend as though on this single computer in these single files you're working on multiple computers. So like if you wanna have this repository open in multiple windows for whatever reason, say you're working on different sections of the repository, you can do that in separate workspaces. Without a workspace, it'll just always open up that one instance you have open. So it's like basically a way of using multiple instances or like multiple tabs in a browser. Like a tab here is like a workspace, and without that, like you can only use like a single window of a browser. So like workspaces are powerful. They're important to using Visual Studio to its fullest. So I do recommend getting used to them. All it is just a very small file that tells you what folders are a part of the workspace, and then you can add your own folders. They don't have to be. You can cherry pick folders across the repo, and then what settings you apply to the workspace. So, and then the other thing is like the AI knows all about it. So it's awesome. All right, so now we can see we have two sources of version control. Let's try modifying a file in our nested version control. All right, so I'm going to just modify that file. There we go. I made a change. We can see the change registering here. And it looks like, yeah, so it's showing up in both. It's showing up in the nested version control. We can see here as a modification. Oh, you know what? Okay, this is interesting. So it's not showing up in both. It's only showing up in the nested, and it's not showing up in the parent. So that's interesting. All right, but I'll deal with that when I get there. Right now, we're just trying to get this project off the ground, and I will commit this workspace change that I made. So we're going to stage it. We're going to say workspace. So VSCode workspace created for parent repo. All right, looks good to me. So now the next step is continuing to read. Okay, so yep, we got all this done. We got the clone repository. We can see it's a repository within a repository, which is just a decision I decided to make. Let's see what that looks like in my GitHub. So, all right, so I do not see that repository within the repository. That's interesting. All right, well, I'll deal with that when I get there. From now on, let's keep going. So VSCode on Linux. VSCode can also run on Linux. For detailed instructions, follow this guide. There we go. It can be advantageous for organizations to build an all-in-one development toolkit host on Linux with VS Code. Code can be developed from within VS Code, and Ansible playbooks can be executed from within VS Code directly. For more information about VS Code can be found here. There we go. So the next is Linux. I've got a good one for the AI. Now, in the scenario of having a repo within a repo, is there a way to have the nested repo basically demoted from being a repo and just be converted to be just files that belong to the parent repo? Is there a way I can get rid of the repo status of the nested repo, and instead of having a repo within a repo, just having one repo that contains all of the files of the nested repo, but where those files are part of the version control of the parent repo only, and there is no longer a nested repo?
Certainly. Converting a nested repository, submodule, to a regular directory within your parent repository is a feasible task. This can simplify your project structure and help you focus on your goals like mastering network automation and preparing for the NCORE and LPIC-1 exams. Just ensure you've done your daily Anki flashcards to keep aligned with your steady goals. Here's a step-by-step guide to converting a nested repo to a regular directory. Step 1. Remove the submodule first. You'll want to register the submodule from your parent repository. In your terminal, navigate to the parent repos directory and run. Step 2. Remove the submodule entry. Remove the submodule entry from Git modules in Git config. Step 3. Commit these changes to your parent repository. Step 4. Delete the submodule directory now. Delete the actual submodule directory.
All right, so let's have let's make another file here.
Step 5. Re-add the files as a regular directory. You can now clone or copy if you have it locally.
So we'll say book. We'll have two files. We'll have book and lab. So book And then we'll have the README and the notice and the license outside of that. Yep, we're going to move this here. Then we'll open a folder. Okay, so there we go. Now we've got the changes showing up here. So it looks like I modified, I made a modification to the repo, so it's showing up here. Now we've got all the, oh, it looks like the book isn't. Oh, it looks like I moved this out of there. I did not mean to do that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, these are the only changes I wanted to make. I want to have a folder with the book. I want to have a folder with lab production. So I'm going to rename this to lab production infrastructure. Which appeared to have broken a lot of things. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to undo that. Yeah, so I did a Control Z on that. Now I'm going to open this. Okay. It actually worked. So that's good. So would you like to open the repository? I'll just ignore that for now, and then we'll go through the steps. So I have 6 changes. So I don't have any changes in my nested repo, and I have changes in my parent repo. So what we're trying to do is get rid of this nested repo, which maybe we can just do right here. That would be awesome. Nope, it looks like we can't. So let's follow the AI, because the AI is smarter than I am. And smarter than all of Google as well. You will not get instructions this clear just by Googling for it. dinit, and then we're going to dinit the repo named lab. And the tab key is not doing what I want it to do. So let's go to preferences. Settings, and then type tab. Let's type terminal, and then tab. Let's go to the AI. So, in Visual Studio Code, when I open the terminal and I type in a command and I try to auto-complete the command using the tab key, instead of doing that, it seems to switch where I can enter input into another section of Visual Studio Code. How can I change this setting so that when I hit the tab key in the terminal, the focus remains in the terminal and the tab key auto completes the thing that I am trying to type in the terminal?
Fix. Seeing the tab behavior in the Visual Studio Code terminal could potentially improve your workflow efficiency, helping you better align with your goals, especially the technical mastery you're aiming for. Here's how you can fix the tab auto-completion issue in Visual Studio Code. Option 1. Change key binding for focus switch. It's possible that the tab key is set to change focus in your VSCode settings. You can adjust the key binding by press Ctrl+K followed by Ctrl+S to open the keyboard shortcuts. Search for focus to find commands related to focus switching. Look for the command that is bound to the tab key and change or remove it. Option 2. Use settings to directly enable auto-completion. VSCode usually defaults to a shell that supports tab completion. However, this behavior can be overridden in settings. To check, open the command palette, Ctrl+Shift+Page. Search for preferences. Open settings, JSON. Add or modify the settings for your terminal shell arguments to make sure it allows tab completions. For example, if you're using bash, you might add, or for PowerShell. Option 3. Check your shell configuration. Sometimes the shell itself might have configurations that interfere with tab completion. Check your basher CSHRC or equivalent for your shell to ensure that there are no lines of code that might affect tab behavior. Reminder for your goals. Since you're working with Visual Studio Code, it might be beneficial for you to look into its extension marketplace. You could find some extensions related to network automation, Linux management, or other subjects pertinent to your NCORE and LPIC-1 exams. Also, have you completed your Anki flashcards for today? They're an essential part of your study strategy for the NCORE exam in September.
Okay, so focus. So you see how difficult this is, and like I'm not writing code right now. Like I'm not accomplishing anything. All I'm doing is setting up something that might make it possibly might improve my efficiency and understanding and writing code by like a fraction of a percent. Like that's what I'm spending all this time on right now. Like see how ridiculous that is? Just write the damn code. Like this idea that something is or is not human readable it's not a real idea. Like it's silly. It's all objective. People read Sanskrit, people read Chinese today. People all around the world read all kinds of languages, and what you think is human readable is only a result of what you consistently read day in and day out. Humans are neuroplastic. The most confusing thing that makes zero sense is going to be the thing that makes the most sense if that's the only thing you work with for 10 years. And then you'll be saying anything that's not written like that is now what is not human readable. So it's like, yeah, it's just kind of frustrating sometimes. So settings. Okay, now I'll type in tab. I think it's because I enabled the tab focus mode. Control order the editor receives tabs that refers them to the workbench. I guess let me try this, turning it on. Oh, yeah, so that doesn't work. Okay. Problems. The thing is, look, it's directed to Twitter too. It ties into Twitter. Like, that's not spending a lot of time on Twitter isn't gonna help you code more. Like you have to think about things. You just have to think. That's really what matters. This is so frustrating because I've never experienced this before. Usually it just automatically works that way. Is it because I have GitLens installed? Yeah, I see how much time I wasted dealing with this too. It's like this is not a good use of time. Like I could have made like this makes no sense. But so I guess I just got to learn how to not do the Wait. This is it. Tab. Okay, so disable. So accessibility mode. So, yeah. So, ACCESS. Here we go. So what's happening is, it's because I can hit tab to my heart's content. Oh, no, I can't. But it looks like when I go here, it says tabs move focus. And if I get rid of that, it's like I need this to not be there when I'm in here, I think. All right, well, let me try unchecking that. Nope. Man. This is like so... Okay. So when I click my mouse in the terminal, I get this thing that pops up on the bottom that says tab moves focus, and if I click on it, it says disable accessibility mode. But when I do that, then it switches out of the terminal, and if I type in the terminal, then the tab move focus things comes back. I want to make it so that when I hit the tab key, I'm sending input to the terminal that auto completes the things I'm typing, instead of I'm saying that I want to move to a different section of Visual Studio. I want the tab key to be sent to the terminal and not to be interpreted by Visual Studio.
It sounds like you're experiencing an issue related to accessibility mode in Visual Studio Code. This mode is designed to assist users with disabilities, but it can sometimes conflict with expected keyboard behavior like terminal tab completion. Given your goals around mastery and efficiency in tech-related tasks, it's understandable why you'd want to streamline this feature. Here's how you can disable it.
Okay, so type in accessibility mode. Okay. And then we go to developer toggle. All right, so we open this, and then we do accessibility mode, and then developer. There we go. Nope, it still comes back. See, this is where I'd be like, just stop using it. If it doesn't do what you want, and it's dead set on doing the way it wants it, and the way you don't want it, and you can't write code anymore, or when you try to, it's just a frustrating, you can't be frustrated when you're writing code. You can't be frustrated, like imagine going to the gym and like every time you try to work out, someone's tapping you on the shoulder, being annoying. It's like, you're not going to, like going to the gym has to be this great, wonderful experience that you love for you to keep going back to the gym. It's the same with coding. It's like you can't have stuff like this happen where like, it just keeps doing things that like you'd never imagine it would do. And like, it's just like why is it doing that? Like, who would it benefit for it to work this way? It's like I can't use it because like it doesn't, like it seems like it's not set up to be used in the way I would expect it to be used, and it's like restricting what I can do. Whereas if I were not using an IDE and just use like a plain Notepad++, it's like I can just code. Like it's not a big deal. I'm not wasting all this time you see me wasting right now. What are we in? We're in we're way past the 1 hour mark. and I haven't done anything. It's ridiculous. All I've done is cloned a repo. All right, so we'll just go through this. We can't auto tab anything. That's okay. So we gotta type everything out. Production, infrastructure. I hate Visual Studio Code. I'm sorry. I hate it so much. Like I hate it. It's like, look at this. Now this doesn't even work either. Like, did I type it wrong? Get submodule dinit, and then it's a relative path. Oh. So get submodule isn't a command? No, I don't. So so I don't see submodule as a git command. Is this meant to be replaced? What do I replace it with? How can I know the name of my submodule?
However, if your Git version does not recognize the submodule command, you may need to update Git to a newer version to access the submodule features.
Oh, how do I do that?
You'll likely need these commands as you delve deeper into version control and other tech skills related to your career goals. To find out the path or name of
Oh, see, I can't. Oh, man. That is like impossible for me to handle. Like, I have to figure that out. I have to figure out how I can tab autocomplete. But you know what I could do, and this would be such a good this would be such a good learning method, learning opportunity. Is just stop using Visual Studio Code and do it in the way that I like to do it. And then you can see you don't have to, coding is about coding. It's about getting the thing working. It's about getting the thing done. And it's about the time. If it takes you 3 times longer to do it than the deadline, it doesn't matter what you do. It's about the here and now. It's about doing something, because so I think I might do that. So one of my favorite ways to code is you just use git bash like this, and then you have it open to your code repository, and then you use Notepad++ like this, and then you have all your files that you're working with, and then and then even a just a folder open like this. So so here we go. This is everything you need. You can close anything else. We don't need to use this at all. So yeah, let's clean up the mess now. So let's take a look at the present working directory. Okay, and then we're gonna go to documents. Okay, and then we're gonna go to automate your network. All right, now let's do a get status. There we go. So now we've got. So let's just get rid of all those. Let's just let's just discard everything. So we're gonna do get restore for this one. Oh, we've got to wrap it in quotes. But see how I can do that? Like, I can arrow over and wrap it in quotes. It doesn't take me to the Git lens supercharged extension. Would you like to update it? Would you like to update it? Would you, you know, I can just type in what I need to type in. Okay, so there we go. And then we'll do it with the other one. And look at that. I can use tab. It doesn't switch me to another screen. It doesn't ask me if I want to update the tab function. It doesn't ask me if I want to create a tab workspace. It just auto completes the command like I would expect it to do. Okay, and then we'll do another get restore. And look, it told me to do get restore. It's right there. It's like overcomplicating things. I could go on about this. I could make like a 10-hour video just on this whole idea that like when people are telling you what to do, you know, they're like it's about constraints. Like when you're using Visual Studio Code, basically you're saying you are constrained to doing it in this specific way, and if you don't like doing it in that specific way, then you need to spend time and energy learning to do it this way. And it's like, no, I want to spend time and energy building the code and getting the thing I'm working on to work. Time is of the essence. Like, I have to get this done. So yeah, let's just do it this way. So okay. So then we'll do a tree, or we'll do a. Let's actually do this in Bash. So let's not use this. And the thing is, like, you know, look, I can make choices about like what makes the most sense for me too. So it's not like I'm doing it in a suboptimal way. I'm just not using bloatware. Okay, so now I've got my bash shell. Everything looks great. Okay. You know what? We can just do this. Git pull. Or we can do get reset. Hard like that. Oh, but now I changed the head. Let's just blow away the whole thing and bring it back down. Okay. This is because, oh yeah, see, like the legacy remains. Wait, is that why? Yeah, okay. Well, it's because I have it open here. Okay, perfect. Oh no, it's not. What? Because I have it open there. Wait, what? Okay, I'm feeling really defeated right now. Yeah, I can't have it so that I can't use tab. I'm not okay with that. I've already spent an hour on this. I just want to stop using Visual Studio Code. I do not like Visual Studio Code. Oh, it's because I'm here. Okay, there we go. Everything's good to go. Now everything's good to go there. So yeah, we've got it all. The thing I did like about Visual Studio Code is we did have it keeping track of where I was in this file, which was nice. See, like, here's the thing too. I'll just have it up like this. But see, like, it's always gonna bring me back to the beginning. Maybe if I hit Control C, Control S. Oh, okay. If I do Control S, it won't always take me back to the beginning. But I see all this annoying stuff. I guess this isn't that bad. Alright, this isn't that bad. Alright, so we were on page 56. Okay, I'm not going to use Visual Studio Code. I thought we were on page. Oh, we're on like the okay. So here we go. Yep. So that's what he's doing. I'm just gonna do it my way. So I'm gonna have separate windows open. I'm gonna have a window for the book. Then I'm gonna have a window open for my command line, which will do where I'll do all my version control. So git status. We got nothing changed. We'll do a ls. So now I need to do one more git clone, and then we'll do it for the for that production. For that production repository. Yeah. All right, so that's going to be right here. There we go. Okay, and then we'll change this from our repo to just files within this repo. And we'll do that following the instructions of ChatGPT. And now we don't need to deal with anything relating to Visual Studio Code, which will save us a lot of time. Did not match any files known to Git. Now, what is the path? Show me an example. Oh, is this it? Let me see. So cat. So like, what is a submodule even? Show me an example of a submodule. How can I update Git so that it contains that submodule command?
Updating. Git will give you access to newer features and commands, including submodules, which will be useful given your interest in mastering network automation and other tech-related skills. Here's how you can update Git based on your operating system. For Windows, via Git for Windows installer. Download the latest Git for Windows installer from the official Git website. Run the installer. It will automatically replace the older version. Via Chocolatey. If you have Chocolatey, you can update Git by running bash copy code go upgrade Git for macOS. Via Homebrew. If you install Git using Homebrew, updating is straightforward. Bash copy code brew upgrade Git via Git download for macOS. You can download the latest installer from the official Git website and follow the installation instructions. For Linux, for Ubuntu, Debian-based systems. Bash copy code sudo apt update sudo apt upgrade Git for Fedora systems. Bash copy code sudo.
Yeah, see, like there's no menu popping up. There's no focus being redirected. There's no asking if I want to update. There's no. It's like, you know what? Sometimes you have to be a trailblazer, or you have to be, you have to go rogue to get the job done. You can't just listen to what everyone's telling you, and just try to do it in the same way. Sometimes you have to just do it in the way you need to do it. Like. I don't know. I kind of like sports analogies. I just think they're fun. And like, there's a basketball player named Sean Marion who would have this just ugly form that makes no sense. He shoots it from his chest instead of like above his head, so like it should be easier to block that way. But like, from what I understand, he had like a broken finger. So like, and his finger like didn't heal up properly, and it's like malformed. He had like a abnormality in one of his fingers. You know, it's he gets the shot off. It goes in the net. He's a high shooting percentage. The only thing different from him and another shooter is the form, which, okay, maybe there are disadvantages. Maybe it's easier to block, but does it go in? How often is he blocked? You know, that's what matters. It doesn't matter this hypothetical situation, whether it's true or not. You know, it matters the results. So I'm sorry, I could talk about this for so long. What did I just run? Okay, yeah, I still need to run that. See, I didn't even know that my Git was out of date. Like, it can be nice to use Visual Studio Code to have like the workspaces where like if you're in between a bunch of things, you can have a bunch of different workspaces open. Like, that's nice, but you know, if it's not behaving the way you expect it to, like, that's not very nice. I guess what I could do is maybe get rid of like this version, or just like reinstall it, because maybe it'll go back. So I'm gonna uninstall Visual Studio Code. And then I'm going to try reinstalling it, because maybe that will reset all the settings. Yeah, I think this makes sense. And then I'll say, and then I will ask a question to I will ask a question to the AI. So What version of uh, Visual Studio Code is widely considered the best version and is the version used by the best programmers, and how do I install this version? Why is this version better than other versions? Oh, did I not? What is the version of Visual Studio Code that is used by the most highly skilled and impactful software engineers, and why is this version considered better than other versions of Visual Studio Code, and how do I install this specific version? Oh, it's just not working. Test 1 2 3. Oh, okay. Well, it's just not working. Testing 1 2 3. Still not working. Testing 1 2 3. Okay, my plugin's not working now. Testing 1 2 3. Man, why? All right, I can just type it out. So I'll type out testing 1 2 3. Nothing. Is it working in here? Testing 1 2 3. Nope. It's just not working anywhere. All right, well, let's finish this up, and I'll stop this video. I wish I could. Maybe my internet is like cutting out or something. Okay, so now let's do a git version. There we go. And then we'll do a. We'll continue running these commands. So git submodule, I think, was the command. Looks like we have that command now. It auto completes dinit. And then there we go. Okay. Oh, and I can't do it. I can't do it. Yeah, it's down. It's down. Okay, it's down. It's down. It's down. So there should be a get.submodules file. We can use the find. So find name dot get modules. Like that, right? Okay, so there's nothing modules. I mean, can't you just delete? Can't you just delete? I'm pretty sure, like, I'm overcomplicating it. I'm pretty sure all you have to do is go into the production infrastructure like that, and then just do LSA and do rmdef on the .git. Like, that's all you have to do. Yeah, and see, like now we can add this. Like, this is all you have to do. It's not that hard. Yeah, see? Yeah, so now, now I can make a commit dash adding the lab files to this repo. John Capobianco has them in separate repos, but I will have this one repo be used for all the files needed for my YouTube series based on this book. All right, see, okay, so now see, it's just so easy to overcomplicate things, and like I feel like doing things on the CLI, the point, you like having a GUI, especially one that makes everything load up in a million seconds. It's like, just get things done, please. Just get it done, get it done, get it done, get it done. Are you working on setting up your Visual Studio settings? Well, then guess what? You're 10 steps behind. That better make up a big difference in productivity down the line, or else you're never going to get that back. Connection refused. Oh, yeah, my whole internet seemed to have gone down. It's been doing that a lot lately. I don't know what is going on, but like for the last week, like every day my internet has been just going down. So I'm going to pause it. I'll do a reset of my internet and I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. And I did basically nothing except for complain the whole time. So internet's coming back up. Not really much I can do in the meantime. I don't think it was a problem of not having my key up there. I think it was a problem. And you can see like what's the difference between doing something locally. It's like, all of this stuff worked, but the push was the only thing that didn't work because there's something wrong with my internet. But you can still work locally. So you can do code development without having an internet connection. Although it's going to be hard because you need to use like ChatGPT and like tools like that. But you can still get some work done even if if your internet's out temporarily, like you don't like lose everything, which is great. Uh, my username? I don't know my username. Oh, is it gonna? Okay. Oh, yeah, I think there is an issue with my. Yeah, I think there is an issue with my key. No, there. So maybe I used the wrong. Um. Uh. Okay, but we can ask the AI. So, why is this happening? I uploaded my key. No, we can't. The AI is still down. Okay, there we go. There we go.
Everything seems to be working fine on my end. Before we delve into anything else, have you completed your 30 new Anki flashcards for today to prepare for the Encore exam in September? It looks like you're running into an authentication issue with Git. The error message clearly states that password authentication has been deprecated since August 13, 2021. You'll need to switch to a more secure form of authentication, like SSH keys or personal access tokens. Here are some general steps for each. Using SSH keys. Generate an SSH key. Open your terminal and run SSH key in TRSAB 4096C or underscore email at example.com. If you can pull repositories but can't push to them, there are a few possible issues that could be at play. It might be a permissions issue, or perhaps the SSH key associated with your GitHub account does not have the necessary permissions for the repository you're trying to push to. Here's a troubleshooting checklist for your specific issue. Check permissions. Ensure that you have right permissions for the GitHub repository. This is
Oh, yeah, maybe that's it. Is I'm trying to push up to So like, what Git command can I use to check the repository I'm trying to push up to? Yeah, git remote-v. I remember that. Okay, so that's good. So yeah, let's look at the permissions. Oh, I should go to your repositories. All right, and then we're gonna look at the permissions settings, or security maybe. Oh, pull requests, is that it? I'm thinking maybe because it's forked. Um, Why is it asking for a username and password? Why is it asking for a username and password when I have SSH key authentication set up?
If Git is asking for a username and password even though you've set up SSH key authentication, there could be a few reasons for that. Let's work through these possibilities, as understanding Git and version control can be quite valuable in a remote.
That's probably it. No, it's SSH. Oh. No. Okay. Got it. No, that is the
Configuration
problem.
files.
That is
Check
the
your
problem. That is the problem. So we have to change. We have to change it. So the problem is the URL. How do I change it?
If the URL is the issue, then you can change it from.
That is the problem. Yeah. It's not using SSH. So we got to do get remote, set URL origin. Okay. And now we need to set it to use the to use SSH instead of HTTPS. There we go. Okay. There we go. See how that works now. Okay, so we're not using Visual Studio Code anymore. I don't even have it installed. So let's continue on, and then let's take a look at these changes I made to the repo. So I'm going to refresh. So now we've got the book, we've got everything, but now we have the production files. And if I change, we don't have a repo in a repo anymore. We just have the production files as a part of this repo. So if I do a get status, we can see we didn't change anything. But if I go into production like this, I do a ls and then like I remove the readme. Okay, and then we do a clear and it gets status again. Now we've got it as a change to this repo. So let's do a remove, or let's do a get restore. I think we can just use a star here. Yeah, there we go. Oh no, we can't. All right, looks good. There we go. Everything's good. I got everything exactly how I want it. And we might try Visual Studio again in the virtual, but as we've seen, you know, it's just for just get the work done, please. Please just get things done. Like, it's important to get things done. There's a timeline. If you're not working on the thing, just start working on the thing, please. Okay, so yep. So the thing is to read this book. So let's keep on going. Linux. A flavor of Linux is required in the environment to host the Ansible installation. Linux may be new, or there might be an existing Linux footprint in the enterprise. The Linux machine where Ansible is installed requires the ability to resolve the host names, as well as SSH into all the network devices. The Linux host needs to communicate with the TFS server through DHCP port 8080 or 8443 to perform Git operations such as cloning the repository to the TFX host. So to the Linux host. So this is another thing where, I'm already not using the TFS server that this book says. So I'm not going to follow what this book says for the tools to use, because I want to lean towards things that are simple, streamlined, and open source. So GitHub isn't necessarily that. GitLab is more of that. But I'm going to be using GitHub anyway. Maybe I'll think about using GitLab instead at some point, but for right now it's GitHub. Okay, there we go. So using Git updates from the repository on the TFS server, or in my case, from GitHub instead of GitLab, can be pulled down, and output from Ansible playbooks can be pushed up to the repository on the TFS server. Role-based access control should be implemented, and standard best practices for server installation apply. Updates harden the system. Followed as the Linux host will become a central component of the automation engine. All Ansible playbooks are executed from this Linux host, and as such, precautions should be taken to protect the system from unauthorized access. I was just thinking, the other thing you can do is you can create new desktops here. So I can switch to desktop 3, and then if I don't have to, when it comes to I have a bunch of things open, and just put them in their own desktop. It's use the tools available. Even here, this is desktop 1. I don't even need desktop 1. I'm not even using it. So if you have a limited amount of desktops, just get rid of the ones you're not using. Oh, I guess I got rid of desktop 2. All right, whatever. So okay, so using Git updates from the repository on the TFS server can be pulled down, and output from Ansible playbooks can be pushed up to the repository on the TFS server. Role-based access control should be implemented, and standard best practices for the server installation apply. Updates harden the system. Followed as the Linux host will become a central component of the automation engine. All Ansible playbooks are executed from this Linux host, and as such, precautions should be taken to protect the system from unauthorized access. All right, and then we've got a section on traditional Linux, and then I'm going to stop it after this Linux on Windows 10. I do have this feature already enabled, so I could probably get through that pretty quick, but we're just gonna, I'm at 2 hours, so I want to finish this up. All right, so it's traditional Linux. Ansible can run on any Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which is a trademark. CentOS is the open source version. CentOS, Fedora, Debian, or Ubuntu system. On Fedora, sudo dnf install Ansible. On Red Hat Enterprise Linux and CentOS, which are the same thing. It's just one's offered in a professional context. The other one you're on your own. You can't get support from. Kind of like Juniper Olive in a sense, but CentOS is more robust. So sudo yum install Ansible. And then on Ubuntu, these are the commands you use to install Ansible. You do sudo apt-get update, sudo apt-get install, software properties common, and then sudo apt add repo repository. Yes. Okay. So let's finish out this video by running all these commands on my lab that I'll be using for this, so that we have Ansible set up and ready to go. And that might bring me like to the 2-hour mark. I'm already past the 2-hour mark. Yep, so we're going to start this. And now we've got a actual... I wish I were using CentOS, but I'm not. I'm using Ubuntu. I don't know. I just feel like CentOS might be more applicable to like a real world scenario than Ubuntu will be, but it's just a matter of using different commands, and with the AI, you know, it's not hard to look up which one is actually meant to be used. All right, so once we get this up and we get Ansible installed, then that'll be the end for this video. Okay, sudo apt get update. There we go. And we can do the same thing. I can pull down this repo. I can see this. The other thing is that's really cool is I can save where I am with this. So like, yeah, really cool. So and then sudo apt get install software properties common. Nothing. Or well, it's working. It's taking a while. There's a yeah. It's the other thing is like I'm not sure what my virtual. One thing that's kind of cool we can do in the meantime, just if I'm getting bored here, is we can capture the download. So like I don't know why it's. I'm kind of surprised that it's. I'm kind of surprised by what I'm seeing here, but yeah, let's have that up, and that's usually interesting. I think it's a crowd pleaser to show that. So, yep. So we're reading the book. Okay, and then sudo apt add repository, yes, update ppa ansible / ansible. All right, let's see the Wireshark capture as this is going. If we get anything interesting. For some reason it's not opening. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's like not able to come to the front. Okay, there we go. You know what? It's probably eating up all of my yeah, I think I need to set it to it's just getting like so much traffic. I think it's like eating up all my disk space, all my CPU, and we can even see in GNS my CPU utilization. but everything's going to hell because this capture is capturing a lot. Like there's just a lot of traffic being sent. So like storing it somewhere is a problem. I'll just close it. Okay, and then I'll hopefully things will be less chaotic now that it's closed. Yeah, there we go. Oh, it's not even working. So wait, why is there a dash there? So dash update PPA ANSIBLE ANSIBLE. Okay, well that's a problem. All right, well let's just try it without doing anything else. I think it'll still help to stop that capture, but it's not behaving. Oh, there we go. Now it's up. Hopefully I can stop this capture now. Nope. Okay, so let's do Ansible dash version. There we go. So everything's set up and ready to go with Ansible. So that's going to be it for this video. Stay tuned for the next one where it's Linux on Windows 10.